Hello, 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 and welcome to the Viberarian Radio Show. I am so excited for you to be with me this evening. My name is Miss J, and also known as Joelle, of course, and I am the Viberarian. I'm here to engage in an elevational conversation with you this evening. The goal of it is going to be so that we can all learn something and so that we can all feel better when we get done learning it. So tonight we're going to be talking about energies and the chakra system. And if you are able to call in at 646-668-8988, you can call on the phone and press 1 if you wish to come live on the air at any time. We'd love to speak with you. We also have a chat room that is open on our Blog Talk Radio page, and you can participate in the conversation there. If you have any questions, you can submit them, and I'll be sure to put them on during the show so that you can have some answers. As I said, my name is Ms. J, and I am joined tonight by two amazing women. I wanted to talk about chakras, and since I'm not an expert in anything, but I love learning about everything, I thought I would call on some people that I know that know a lot about this, I guess what you call area of work. And they're people that I have actually received services from that were very healing. So tonight I am joined by Lucy Lee and also Paula Gore. Hello, ladies, and welcome.
Hey. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, I'm so excited tonight to talk with you. If we could start with Lucy, if you want to briefly introduce yourself. I could talk about you, of course, for a couple minutes, but what would you like our listeners this evening to know about you?
Okay, my name is Lucy Lee, and I am a Reiki master teacher. I live in Roswell, Georgia, and I have a small practice here where I see clients in a private space, and I also teach people who wish to learn how to do Reiki themselves. I teach them classes and do attunements. Joelle happens to be one of my students.
Absolutely. I was just going to chime in and say I've actually learned from you and took my Reiki certification class after I was a client and received some of your Reiki healing services, of course. Then I went to you to receive some formal training and education, and I found it very enlightening, which is why I wanted to make sure you got on the air to be able to share your knowledge with people this evening. So welcome, Lucy.
I appreciate that.
Thank you so much for being here. And Paula, so what would you like our listeners to know about you?
I am a psychic healer, a sound healer, licensed massage therapist, and I plug into the chakras in many different ways in my work. One thing is that through the sound work seems to really be able to, I don't know, it's like a honing in device. And I'm able to really open up my own clairvoyance and see into the chakras and be able to bring healing, tell stories about people and their journeys. And I've been doing this work a good 20 years now, and I love it. It's been absolutely exciting. And I'm continuing to grow in my own work, and I'm excited about the future and just continuing what I'm doing.
Well, I can also say that I have been a client of yours as well over at Synchronicity in Roswell, and I have to say it was truly a very unique experience to undertake a private session with you because there is a lot of sound and energy and things happening. And I also attended your class at Synchronicity on Chakra Toning last year, and I found it very, very informative. So, again, thank you for joining me this evening.
Thank you. Thank you.
So let me start from the very beginning of this conversation. At this point, some of you may be saying, what in the world are they talking about? Reiki, chakra, psychics, healing, toning, energy. These may be words that are foreign to you. So let me share with you my personal experience. It was about 15 years ago, and I was working in a public law library as a librarian, as I said, and I would see all manner of people, attorneys who were working in the courthouse all throughout the day. At the time of my life, I was debating whether I should take a job that had recently become available. And I found myself going back and forth, having a lot of discussions with my then husband at the time, talking it over with friends. I just was not really able to come to a conclusion, and I'd been kind of chewing on it for a couple weeks, and I was starting to get worn out from it. And as I was sitting at the desk one day, a lady came up to me, an attorney that I knew that came very frequently, and she said, "You know your chakras are out of alignment." And I looked at her and I said, "Pardon me?" She said, "Yes, you know your chakras are out of alignment. You need to get grounded. I would like to do a healing session on you. Have you heard of Reiki?" No, I have not heard of Reiki, but as a librarian, I'm always interested to find out more. So I wound up meeting with her. Her name was Jeannie. She was excellent. And she took me into her private studio in her home office, and there was a massage table like you would see at a service center, but underneath it were big crystals set up all over the room. And she said, "Okay, I'm going to do some Reiki healing on you. Just lay down. You know, you're fully clothed. I'm not going to be touching you. Just lay down. I'm going to start to scan your energy." And I'm thinking, okay, lady, this is a totally different language to me at this time, but I trust you because I know you through another context, so I'll continue to go down this road with you. So she starts to wave her hands over my body a few inches in the air, and I'm thinking, okay, this is a little strange, but then pretty soon she started to talk to me about what she was perceiving. And it was quite shocking and uncanny that she was able to tell me that I was having problems making a decision, that there was energy that I was losing, and that I was not grounded, and that I needed to understand what my energy system was and learn how to ground myself, because I would not be then experiencing such stress and energy loss. And I said, this feels like it's a truth, because she's telling me something about myself that she has no knowledge about. And so she continued, and she scanned and then started doing some healing work on me. I think the session might have lasted about 45 minutes or so. And she says, "Okay, I'm all done, and I want you to, when you go home," she told me what she wanted me to do in terms of some mental exercises to envision moving this particular cord of energy from the ground to my body. Within a few days of going home, I wasn't even thinking about it in terms of a real conscious process, but within short order, I was able to make a decision, and I felt much more confident. It was like a dam kind of broke open, and I understood what the right choice for me was. And so from that point on, I began to look more into the chakras and what it meant to be grounded and what it meant to receive purposeful healing from other people that worked on my chakras, and then also to what it meant to do purposeful healing on myself through the chakras. So that was about 15 years ago, and I'm not a yoga person or a meditating person, but a lot of different areas are talking about chakra energy. And so that's my personal experience, and I'm going to turn it over to both Lucy and Paula so we can talk about, okay, what is the chakra system at a fundamental level? Lucy, how would you sum up the chakras?
Well, first of all, Joelle, you're the perfect first-time client. You understood exactly what was going on. A lot of people don't. when they first receive energy healing. Because it's not part of your physical body, it's part of your chakras are part of your energetic body. And when they're balanced and not overactive or underactive, they all work together to have your energy flow through your body, which gives you time to your body an opportunity to heal itself. It opens your mind to enlightenment. That's the reason I'm sure she gave you things to pay attention to for the next few days.
Mm-hmm.
And like Paula said earlier, your chakras all they're connected to a sound, they're connected to a color, they're connected to your endocrine system.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
the chakras, I would say that the chakra is like your energy grid or your power strip that runs along your body grid, and that would be a literal statement. Wouldn't you agree?
The way it was explained to me one time very simply was you look at it like a tube that runs from your crown through the base of your spine into the ground, and there's 7 wheels that turn within that. And when one of them is not spinning correctly, it's either blocked or inactive, or it's spinning too much and it's overactive, then it disrupts the flow of the energy that's flowing through your body.
Mm-hmm.
I find that they are windows to the soul.
Okay.
And because of the nature that we all have the same 7 chakras, and the first being our survival. It's our day-to-day work life, living, how we, the roof over our heads or not over our heads. Our second chakra is relationships to the world, specifically mostly sexual relationships. So the first chakra is located, because it's our grounding chakra, in terms of sound and toning, we feel that at our coccyx. So the base of the coccyx at the anus area, and it flows down through the legs into the feet. And then we all have a second chakra, which is located 2 inches below our navel. The color is orange, and that's our sexual energy. The third chakra is our solar plexus. It's yellow, and this is our power center, and it's also our identity, like how we see ourselves, how we relate to ourselves. Our fourth chakra is our heart chakra, and it's between our breasts. The color is green, and this is our unconditional love center. Our throat chakra is our fifth chakra. The color in this chakra can vary. I have seen it vary in terms of the colors of chakras. This is the most unique chakra that we have for several reasons. One is the color varies. Sometimes it can be a light blue to even aqua to a light green that I've even seen, depending on the person and sort of what issues that are going on there. So it's the one that seems to have the most variance. And also this is our will center. This is our expression. And it is the most unique chakra in that this is our ability to manifest God. In other words, when we speak our mind, when we speak truth, when we feel like we have those moments where we're channeling the divine, this is that chakra that manifests our God self. Then we move on up to our sixth chakra, which is between our eyebrows, and the color is indigo. But again, this chakra also I tend to see sometimes that the 7th chakra tends to bleed into it. Sometimes it's a little bit purplish, but from time to time, but mostly I find that the color in most people is indigo in the 6th chakra, and this is our intuitive abilities, our psychic abilities. So this is how we see the world. And in the 7th chakra, which is the top of our head, this is our crown chakra. The color is violet. This is our God self, and this is actually how God sees us. In the 1st chakra, we're dealing with issues like belonging. So, in a sense, it's how the world sees us in the 1st chakra. And then we have the reverse relationship in the 7th chakra in terms of our God self and how our God self perceives us. So that's just a bit, just wanted to educate everybody about chakras and where they're located and a general sense of what the energy that they hold. So in that sense that they hold, I call windows of the soul in 7 different perspectives of that.
Very, very good information. And as you were talking, I was thinking about the fact that in discussing the chakras, it's really a perfect intersection of science and spirit, because at a fundamental level, we see the colors of the chakra, which we know is light that is moving at a certain frequency. It emits a certain color and then a certain tone. And so we see the colors of the chakra even in the colors of the rainbow. Every child learns Roy G. Biv, red, orange, yellow, blue, indigo, violet. And we think that it's just a catchy mnemonic device to remember, but it applies at a macrocosmic level then to the vibration within the human body as well. And so you can have science which can detect this energy and that can see in scanning. You can see thermal energy. You can see auric energy with people who have like Carillion photography devices. And then gifted people who are energy sensitive and healers can then also sense these colors expressed as something unique that like, say, Paula, your particular nervous system receives and understands the energy that you're experiencing in a very personal way because you're using all of your faculties to receive that person's energetic signature and then work with that. And it's the same kind of thing we do with ourselves as we work with our own energy in different ways related to the chakras. And we can learn how to work with it differently once we become aware that we even have chakras and are using this energy in the first place. You know, that's the key thing. We walk around and we're all influenced. Like if there's a series of sunny overcast days, pretty soon everybody's feeling down and blue because the energy has changed, because there's not sunlight, the yellow of the solar plexus color charging up our energetic center and confidence. We tend to shut down and stay indoors more and be less active when it's gray and dreary outside. You know, so we don't think about that as being a chakra-related experience, but when you start to see the pattern and the repetition that is present, then it starts to make different sense.
Yes, and because everything is energy, you tend to pull in from whatever is around you, whether it be other people or nature or your electronics or whatever. And once you're aware of how this works in your body, then when you do feel this down feeling, you're able to clear it out and become more balanced and grounded.
we talk about being grounded. So, if we're going to start from the very ABCs at the very beginning of Do, Re, Mi, let's talk about the root chakra. And the root chakra is associated with the color red. And as you stated, Paula, it's kind of near your butt, at the bottom of your butt in your coccyx area. So the root chakra, what is this energy and what does it mean to be grounded then?
Well, when you're centered, then you're able to handle your problems better. You're able to analyze what's going on in your life and see it for what it is and not get overwhelmed by things.
So the root is like your survival. Like, am I going to eat today?
Yeah.
Do I have a roof over my head? Are things okay? Am I in danger? That kind of processing that in that material arena. Is that correct?
Let me jump in. So in so many of my readings, I see often that the root chakra in people tends to be shut down. And in so many readings, what I see are past life trauma and some early childhood trauma. And so it causes the chakra to shut down, and particularly the root chakra when there's trauma. So in other words, a soul, that soul is holding fear sort of like in a locked bubble that's literally, I can physically palpitate with my hands when I scan the chakras. And so one of the things that I do and I find absolutely fascinating is to tune in and as I scan the area, I can begin to see even a movie that is playing of what that trauma is. In other words, it's a story. It's a story that soul is sort of replaying in the unconscious over and over, and that's what's running them. And what's amazing about this work is in anyone who's dealing with trying to bust those bubbles of the unconscious is once that story is told, then the soul begins to integrate the trauma, and then the energy shifts and the chakra opens, and then that person is starting to learn how to ground naturally or more innately. I see a lot of people who come into synchronicity, and they're needing those grounding stones. They come in, they get the grounding stones, and I when I'm working there, I usually tend to jump in and say, "Hey, let me look at your first chakra and see what's going on." And sure enough, there's usually some kind of trauma or some issues going on, and stones are great. You know, they really help to aid in the chakras to do the work that they need to do, which is to stay open and flowing and moving. So the stones can sort of give us that sort of tool that we don't necessarily have to plug in on a conscious level to figure things out, which is a nice thing to do, because sometimes not everybody wants to know the stories about their life. Some people just want to be able to just I'll take that flower essence, or I'll take that homeopathic, or take that stone and begin to move through stuff without necessarily having to consciously process it. So I think that's what I wanted to say around just wanting to add about when a chakra is, particularly the root chakra, when it's shut down. I usually find it's because there's some trauma associated with it, and that trauma needs to be released energetically, as I know Lucy deals with probably all the time.
Right.
In your work.
Yeah, I've had instances with people with childhood trauma that when I work on them, working on their root chakra, even down to their knees and their ankles, seem to be where the release happens.
Mm-hmm.
And once that happens, then they're able to process whatever they've been trying to sort of suppress, and it helps them move through it. And you can actually feel it when you have hands on someone.
Mm-hmm. You can feel the disconnect or the lack of flow of that energy resonating.
Well, you can feel it when it releases. There's an energy movement in the physical body that you can feel it when you're working on someone when it releases.
And there's I always notice a temperature change when a chakra is shut down in the area in the field of that chakra. The energy feels cool to the touch.
Very cool. Yes.
And then once it releases, then you can feel the shift in energy, and there's more warmth coming. And then also, if there's a blockage, if the energy doesn't flow, then it begins to open as well. So it's sort of a multi-dimensional experience in working with chakras.
Now, see, the average person is saying, okay, how are you feeling this? What are you talking about? I mean, is this a special gift? But what I could say is that we all are using our energetic sensors all the time. We just don't call it a specific term. But all of us have felt when a person has entered the room and the energy shifts, maybe because they're holding some kind of negativity in their person. They don't have to say a word. Everyone becomes uncomfortable, and the temperature in the room drops, right? That's a person who probably got some energetic imbalances in his chakra system and some other things going on, but we all felt it. We've all felt when somebody has come in and been bursting with excitement just from their body vibrating. They don't have to say a word, but their eyes are twinkling, and you could tell they're about to spill their beans. Well, that is the same thing, I would say, that you're talking about. Would you then agree?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's not something like magical, mystical. It's something that if you learn to look for it and understand what you're feeling, you can start to use for yourself, first of all, and you'll be able to sense when you might be out of alignment, and then subtly work on your environment and the things external to you once you've kind of got the knack of scanning and working with how you feel about stuff. So, you know, if you're looking at the root chakra, if an early trauma, say a child experiences a divorce in their family, or even something at school where they were made to feel maybe ashamed during a classroom experience, that can cause, say, you know, if you were shamed by your teacher, other kids laughed at you because you might have had a learning challenge, then your confidence center, your I can, your solar plexus might have been damaged, or you might be operating with it at a reduced level. Or if you experience like a sudden home change, like maybe if a parent lost a job and there was a financial stress that floated down to you as a child, that can make you feel unstable. So later in your life, you might put yourself into positions that overcompensate for your childhood fear of instability. And what I understand from working with your chakra energy is that you can resolve or renew those flows and connections in very specific ways by deciding to work with your chakra energy just as easily as you could by deciding to work with a therapist or some other kind of healing those fundamental core issues.
Yes, absolutely. I have been into chakra toning and teaching chakra toning for over 20 years. And this is actually a quick and easy way to keep your chakras open and clear them out, and raise your vibration, help you with any emotional issues, or if your thoughts, whatever is sort of going on with you. I find that the toning, using your own voice, and toning the chakras, and I use a Western vowel chakra toning system, and I teach classes periodically at Synchronicity. Toning is an amazing way to be able to bring that stability, and also this tool is a great way if you struggle with meditation. Doing toning prior to meditation is a very easy way to be able to go in and really be able to settle in yourself for meditation. So there are many purposes to chakra toning, and to be able, for someone to be able to do toning for yourself, you're being incredibly proactive, and it's bringing a feeling of aliveness, and a sense of well-being, wholeness, and it doesn't take long at all. Also, there is chakra meditation as well, and that's basically beginning with the first chakra, just like in chakra toning. You begin with the first chakra, and then you move up. You move up the path of the Kundalini flow. In other words, Kundalini is our sexual energy. Sexual energy is best utilized and activated by moving up through the chakras, opening up the heart space, and that energy staying there in the heart and beginning the path of creating unconditional love through this Kundalini process, and then moving up through the crown chakra and opening up the crown. This is the path of Kundalini, and through toning and meditation on the chakras, this can be achieved, and it doesn't take a long time for this process to happen, and it can happen quite spontaneously, the Kundalini process opening and awakening. And then this has its own life in the body and creates healing, and healing for whatever is going on with you, whether it's mental, emotional, spiritual, physical. And this is well known in Eastern paths of practice. But it doesn't have to be religious in nature at all. This is just simply the way that the body's energy wants to move and open.
And you mentioned the toning as one of the sound modalities, a very specific way of moving chakra energy. There are other ways that this chakra energy can be tweaked, resonated with. I don't know what the exact word would be, but for instance, if you listen to singing bowls, crystal bowls, or Tibetan metal bowls.
Absolutely.
If you actually have certain mantras, and the people who are into yogic practices and that kind of thing, of course, are going to be more familiar with the mantras that you would say during your yoga positions, which yoga is a very physical way of moving the chakra energy as well, and even acupuncture, which is actually inserting the needles into the energetic grid in order to release those blockages. Even wearing the color that is associated with the chakra, or in creating an environment around yourself with the color of the chakra, influences, either augments or decreases that energy as well. So, if we're talking about the root chakra and you're having issues with feeling that you are in a good place and that you're grounded and you're confident and you can survive and things are okay, you can start wearing red. You can have red in your bedroom, a red comforter. You can eat red foods, deep, dark, purpley red, deep, energetic tomatoes and things like that. That will then stimulate that same energy all throughout the body system. And you could sit outside. That's the simplest thing for the root chakra is put your root on the ground. Put your butt on the ground, lean against a tree, and feel and breathe and imagine that connection from the bottom of your body, that there is that pipeline open and energy is flowing easily up inside of you from the center of the earth. And just that can really help to stimulate, because earth is the biggest root of, it's what keeps us, the gravity of earth is what keeps us attached to the place of this planet. So you're giving yourself a great big old boost of groundedness when you lower yourself into that connection.
Also, another great tool working with the chakras actually is drumming. Drumming for 20 minutes, 20 to 30 minutes a day can activate the chakras and get all of them opening and moving and flowing. It's a great tool as well.
Don't you find that whether it's chanting or toning or drumming or anything like that, the vibration of sound, just you can feel it moving through your body.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
And
absolutely.
And when you do the toning and you do the certain consonants with it, sounds with it, you can actually feel it in the chakras that they're connected to.
Yes.
When you were talking about doing the Kundalini opening, that's great. I always have to bring myself back from my 7th chakra back down to the ground, though, or I think I might just stay out there all the time.
You talk about the Kundalini and the Sacral Chakra, which is our 2nd chakra, then in the process, and that sexual energy, which I've also seen it talked about as the energy of creation, which we all know that the ultimate in creation of life occurs in the Sacral Chakra area. But that's where we also, if we're functioning with a nice open Sacral Chakra, then we feel confident in expressing our desires, be that for people or other things. We feel vibrant and creative. Our imagination is able to be loose, and we can dream in consciousness and have ideas and visions. But if our sacral chakra is blocked, what are some of the indicators of a blocked sacral chakra?
In an emotional context, okay, let's back up 1 second. In the 1st chakra, we're talking about a lot of fear and whether we feel a sense of belonging or not in the world. In the 2nd chakra, there may be issues around shame and punishment or blame if we are feeling victimized. Sort of that shame, blame, codependent aspect begins to play out in the 2nd chakra.
And so, Lucy, how do you experience? Do you have any?
I agree with what Paula was saying. There's a lot of guilt connected to that, being overly concerned about what other people think about you, and that all comes back to what happens in your root chakra, what's going on early in your life as well. Being very passionate, in a good mood. It doesn't necessarily have to be sexual, but just loving life, loving people, all of that is a very balanced sacral chakra.
And I would think that as women, we have more ability to own a balance in our sacral chakra than, say, women would have 80 or 90 years ago. Because we've come through an area of sexual liberation in the 70s and 80s to where women can now claim with authority their bodies as independent and have control over their reproduction and have choice with birth control. So that frees them to express themselves in healthy ways without having to, women would be suppressed and told, well, you need to do quiet activities. Didn't they say they made cornflakes to help keep women at home passive or something like that? Rather than being vibrant and out being an adventurer in the world and independent at the turn of the century, they wanted you to be quiet and meek and submissive and not to be your own energetic person, that your sexual energy was expressed through your mate and only in marriage. So now 100 years later, we're in a different place where I think it's very empowering for me personally to say it is okay for me to be a sexual person, for me to talk about my sexual energy in public, and to do specific energy work to make sure that I do feel vibrant and sexy and empowered in my body and love all the bits and pieces of myself.
Yeah, it must have been very suppressing many years ago. You were asked to suppress that, but at the same time, you were seen as your role here on Earth was to reproduce.
Mm-hmm.
So that had to have been very confusing. Aren't we glad we're here where we are? Yeah.
This time around, right?
Yes.
I am Miss J, and this is the Viberarian Radio Show, and I am on tonight with Lucy and Paula, and as you can tell, we are talking chakras and energy. Our phone number is 646-668-8988. I see we have several callers who are listening in this evening. Thank you for joining us. If you wish to come online to say anything or add to the conversation or you have a question, just press the one button, and I'll go ahead and bring you on here shortly. So we've covered the first two chakras, red and orange, the root and the sacral chakra. Was there anything else that you thought was important to know about the sacral chakra before we move on to the solar plexus, third chakra?
I just want to make a comment, and you did touch on it, that feelings of depression can originate in the second chakra, as well as talking about guilt and that blame, those type of issues, punishment. Those are the issues that seem to originate more in the second chakra.
You have a thought of where that connection comes to that area?
That's a good question.
Because I heard you say also kind of at the same time, Lucy, I heard you say, yeah. So both of you have felt this depressed energy,
well, if you're thinking, the first chakra tends to hold fear in it's primarily, survival. So that's whether we're going to live or die. That's our fight or flight. So after the fight or flight, then we get into differentiating. We're getting into the duality of life, which is we're either a persecutor, a blamer, or a shaming person, or we tend to be the victim of those people. And so the duality of life, the split happens in the second chakra. So then we get, the shame-blame thing going on, and then people feeling depressed because somebody's been blaming them, their whole lives, and then they can't get out of the cycle. So that is sort of I think the differentiation there between the first and the second chakras.
I know the chakras open. This is a question for Paula, because you might know this. I've read this, and I don't have the specifics for it, but your chakras open at certain times from birth on. And, of course, your first chakra opens first. Do you know the age periods that the different ones open? I'm wondering if that has something to do with why those two are so connected.
Yes and no, probably. If there's trauma that is associated in the first 5 years of life, then we're talking about, the first and second chakras really being shut down, and probably shut down for, until the person begins to have some kind of awakening.
So it becomes sort of a conditioning kind of thing.
Yes.
What you're taught, yeah.
The other thing, so what I'm talking about is external events that affect you at the first years of life. The other aspect about this is when we are born from our mothers, and we go through the womb and come out of the birth canal, we inherit basically everything that our mother, we take on that ancestral energy when we come out of the canal of our mother. So if our mother's first chakra is shut down in a certain way and has a certain sort of color to it, ours is going to reflect the same as hers. So we basically, we hear the expression that the next generation takes on the parents' issues, and it's the job of the children to basically evolve beyond the parents. In other words, whatever the issues of the parents that they don't resolve, it is the job, in terms of humanity, is what I'm saying, to discover, who you are and what what your issues are, and how to evolve.
Yeah.
How to evolve out of what you were born into. So sort of a two-part, it's like discovering those issues. And then the other part is, well, hey, I've got some gifts. Maybe I need to use my gifts and figure out how to bust out of this.
Like an evolution, I guess, action energetically.
That is what we're doing. We evolve from one generation to the next. That's the job. And when the children don't evolve, then there is something, there's something wrong, and that, that could be a huge thing in terms of some kind of breakdown, and that may even be cultural, societal, and not just with the individual.
Right.
I do want to say we have a caller who has... Go ahead, Lucy. Well, I would say we have a caller who has a question or a comment to add. Caller, phone number ending 0082. I'm bringing you on the air. Hello. Who am I speaking with?
Hello. This is Jesse.
Huh? Hey,
this is Jesse. How you doing?
Jesse, hey.
I'm enjoying the talk. Beautiful talk.
Oh, I'm so glad you joined us. Jesse is an awesome energy healer. He was my first Reiki teacher, and he also used to practice at the Big Psychic Fair in Roswell, Georgia. But he's now moved out to California, where he is doing amazing energetic work with his partner, Raphael. And so thank you for calling, Jesse.
Yes, it's good to be on. I'm really enjoying you guys' conversation.
Great.
What can you add?
Glad you could join us. Anything that you want to add to what we're saying?
Well, I mean, you guys are on point with, describing the chakras and everything, and, it really is about calibrating yourself so you can have the highest, you can have the highest level of outward expression, like you guys were saying, of your Kundalini energy, because your Kundalini, in essence, is your light. So the more you can allow that energy to flow freely by, addressing the things that cause distortions in your chakras, the more light we can emanate. And that's what we are all here to do. I'm sure we can all agree upon that, to elevate the frequency of this earth. So that's really the main thing that I'm focused on in my work.
Now, as a male energy healer, expressing the masculine energy, when you work on your Reiki client, what is your experience of energy if you're scanning someone, or how does a blocked root chakra or sacral chakra, other than the energetic cold and hot and the things like that, how do you experience that?
Well, it's different for everybody, really. But generally speaking, I've got to a point where I can feel people, empathically, before I would even attempt to work on them getting on a table or anything like that. It's like their energy. I always say the energy speaks louder than words, and it's amazing. Hold on, I'm gonna take my. Okay, you guys still there?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So, I'm here with my twin, Marcia, so she might be able to add some things.
You're a little bit fuzzy, Lucy.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Now I hear you now.
You got a little bit.
This is weird. Okay, well, I was trying to get it on speakerphone. I don't know why it's not doing that, but yeah, going into connecting with people and being able to feel where they have chakras that are shut down or have distortions. They're spinning wheels. So if you look at a wheel and one of the center cog is off, then it's going to spin with distortion. And that, like you guys were saying with the root chakra, in terms of survival, it's like when that's off, you should have insecurities with just simple survival things. Then your chakra is going to be on a wobble. It's not going to be able. The Kundalini is not going to be able to rise naturally. So feeling this, when you encounter people, you can feel their fears. You can feel their insecurities. You can feel their vulnerabilities, whatever it may be. So I'm really going off as I always do, but
no, this is great. And I want to add that when that Kundalini, this happens from time to time. I'll see people throughout my life if their Kundalini has activated and they've been an ungrounded person. They're not emotionally stable. They may even show some signs of being like bipolar. And then their Kundalini is activated, they don't often do well because it really sort of flips them out psychologically, and they become more emotionally unstable. And the feelings that are stuck in the first chakra in terms of, not feeling. When we're talking about not feeling grounded, what we're actually talking about is not feeling safe in the world. We're not, we don't, the soul, I'm not even talking personality or conscious mind. I'm talking about the soul does not feel safe in the world. And if that person's observer self can be strong enough, then they can somehow figure it out themselves and get themselves back in alignment. But if their observer self is not intact, then, these people are the ones that wind up needing to go, to rehab centers, or the addictive cycle. Kundalini, we're talking about sexual energy. We're also talking about this is where addiction lies in the body. So, and that can be substance or emotional, behavioral patterns, sexual or codependent in nature. Then the person may go off in tangents, in terms of those addictive patterns. to be able to cope with the psychological issues of not feeling safe in the world.
Absolutely. And you know, traumas that occur is basically the biggest thing that fragments our consciousness. And when our consciousness is fragmented, we don't experience being fully present. And that is where our place of power lies. Like that's like as Abraham Hicks was speak about, that our vortex is in full creative mode. It can create anything when these traumas are not there. You know, basically you've been able to defragment yourself and your chakras are able to spin in very even and balanced place. Your creative level is off the charts. You know, we can do anything, literally. We're limitless beings in you know, theoretically speaking, because, you know, we're obviously in this realm right now. So, like, being able to, like you said, going into observer consciousness and being able to step away from the intensity of the trauma and be able to process that pain that has not been processed, that's where you're able to liberate yourself. And that's what my twin flame and I do. You know, we assist people in, you know, connecting themselves in their inner child, which is your purity, which is, you know, and she's sitting right here if she wants to jump in. I don't know if she wants to.
One of the key words that Jesse just said, though, was balance. When you're centered and you're grounded and everything, you can balance, and then you don't go off on these spirals as Paula was talking about. Sorry for my dog barking if everybody can hear that. Quiet.
Also, if I can add to this, when the Kundalini energy said it activates itself and you are still fragmented in your consciousness and you haven't dealt with the lower parts of your chakras, which is first the root chakra and then you got the sacral. So if those are distorted and your energy is not aligned with the full intention that you're trying to get from even activating the Kundalini, like you will be bipolar, you will be schizophrenic, you will, because you're trying to activate a vortex that is not ready to be activated because it's not connected or aligned in its true frequency through the first two chakras. So those are off, and a lot of people, this is where we go wrong, intellectualizing our spirituality. It's like, it happens to everyone in the beginning of their spiritual awakening because we're so disconnected from who we truly are, and we're so eager to know who are we, why are we here. And so the mind gets in there, and this is where it starts to play tricks on you. And people want it so bad, and they want to activate their Kundalini energy without first understanding that if they want to activate that part inside of them, they first have to activate the other two, and they have to clear out stagnant energy. They have to clear out pain, the pain body within each chakra in order for them to be able to activate it fully. I'm still not even activated fully in my Kundalini because I know that it takes for me to unfilter all of me and then integrate who I truly am to even activate that part so that I won't be like just somewhere else in another world or schizophrenic or, you know, having multiple personalities and not be able to ground myself back on earth. And I've seen this happen to a lot of people, as a matter of fact. One of my friends, really close friends that we're not close anymore for the same reason, kept wanting to activate his Kundalini energy and open up his third eye. And from out of nowhere, he sent me a message on inbox. This was a long time ago. And he was just going off on another level of totally changed personality. It wasn't even him anymore. And from then on, that was like 5 years ago, that scared me a little bit, and that kind of made me really be more careful about what I'm dealing with within my own body and be able to understand it fully each step at a time, like giving myself the proper time to face myself and to be able to activate that part is a beautiful thing, you know, because it makes you create a beautiful reality that we all want to. We all want to create that reality. We're all practicing balancing ourselves here in this crazy world.
Thank you, Marcel. Yeah. Now, as the average person listening who's not a healer, they're running around. I know I would be thinking, okay, oh my God, I don't want to be running around with my Kundalini hanging out. Like, how do I know? Like, I don't want to be in danger of a Kundalini explosion, So I say that in jest, but I also don't want to make it seem like as we're talking about these things that we're saying that there are mental illnesses or conditions such as bipolarism and schizophrenic that have certain chemical underpinnings. What we're talking about, I think, without the psychological diagnosis side of it, is behaviors, ways that people are expressing themselves that would appear to be wavering from extremes of happy to sad, angry, and fear, that kind of really irrational things that we've all come to associate with someone being, quote, unquote, crazy, or having an illness or an imbalance even. A lot of people say, oh, she's off. We've gotten a little kinder in the way that we talk to people now, that I don't want to encourage any kind of labeling and stigmatizing to happen where we start to look around out of suspicion and fear. Is this person bipolar, or are they operating with too much Kundalini? So
I want to add to this in just terms of psychic and in terms of the kids that are coming in carnation now. They are more crystalline form, which is different than us older beings who are indigo. In other words, the structure of people, the soul, is changing, and it makes, when a soul is crystalline, it makes a soul more resilient, and resilient in terms of particularly emotional and psychological issues. The other thing that I notice is that kids these days, they tend to go into more extremes, or in terms of really polar opposites within themselves. And then that is also causing us as a society to look at those extremes. And parents are also having to figure out how to help the kids that are coming in now, because, and I say extremes not necessarily in a negative capacity, but just that their soul has the capacity to experience extremes without the psychological frailties that we, our generations and generations before us, have come in with. So I think that we're seeing a whole evolution coming in, and in terms of, how they deal with those spontaneous Kundalini experiences, and as they develop and choose to develop, and work as a spiritual path and work with that energy, their potential for self-realization is in some ways far beyond even what, I feel that we're in the space and time to experience ourselves even as we get older. This is a really exciting time to be alive on the planet because of all of this new development within our beings, our souls. And those of us now, because of all the astrological shifts that have occurred since 1987, we are all also building in crystalline form as well. So that's an exciting thing, and we are becoming more resilient. So what I'm saying is that I am hopeful for the future and future generations. Because of our own soul makeup, we are having the ability to cope with life so much better than in previous generations.
Absolutely.
I also feel that a lot of us. what I'm reading off just your energy is that you already had the Kundalini awakening since you were small. So your inner child is kind of speaking to me, and I was just closing my eyes and trying to see what she's telling me. And she's like basically telling me that you felt that same thing that you're describing that the new kids have. The same, you had that connection. There is some fear. And also, when I was coming in, I could feel how you would move your hands around, like you knew you had this magic in you. And what I really want to say is that I feel that everybody has that ability to be, like you say, they have the ability to create beautiful realities because we are the magic. As soon as we can acknowledge that and we can remember, because you're saying tell her to remember how she felt in her magic. And if we can remember, then we can activate who we truly are and become exactly that. Because I feel that there's no disconnection from the new kids as to us. There can be one intellectually if we put it that way, but energetically, I feel that we are the same as opposed to maybe lower. But we just have forgot how it feels to be magical. And I think that the Kundalini energy, it was already activated, but it got deactivated. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I was going to say that, in talking about the younger kids and energy and all that, we are going to have an episode coming up very soon, and I hope that Jesse and Mafia, you will be back because you have a new baby, and I know several people who have younger children, and I want to talk about the whole crystal children and the new wave of beings that are coming. Yes. But I do want to go ahead and package that in its own show because we're getting down to the last 25 minutes of tonight's show. And what I've decided, executive decision, you can do that when you are sitting behind a computer, is that we're going to finish today talking about the lower chakras. So I want to get into the solar plexus. And when we come back next week, I hope that all of you will join me again. Please consider this an invitation for us to meet again next week so we can start talking then about the heart chakra, the throat, the crown, and the third eye so that we can finish the whole cook. I don't want to skip any time because this is so interesting and I'm learning a lot. I love conversations like this, so I'm in a very happy place right now. But if there's anything else about the sacral chakra, I would love to move on to the solar chakra because we've got about 20 minutes left for the solar plexus. So, I don't know, Lucy, are you over there still?
I'm still here. The solar plexus chakra is right above your navel, between your navel and your rib cage. And I think the color connected with it is yellow. I find when I do Reiki on a lot of people, that is where their blockage is. It has to do with self-respect, how secure they feel about themselves or something, where they carry all their problems, it seems like. If I try to push energy from someone's crown to their root chakra, it usually stops at their solar plexus, and that's the first place I end up working on them and trying to get it to release.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the self-confidence or what?
Yeah,
well,
it does.
It has to do with confidence and how they see themselves handling their life. I think what happens is everyone's problems, whether it's conscious or unconscious, just sort of settles in their solar plexus chakra. And we all
worried about your cousin. If you're worried about your cousin Minnie, who's got a heart attack and she's in the hospital, is that affecting you in your solar plexus?
Or if you're worried about can we get gas? We've had a gas shortage here in Georgia. Anything like that. But
so we're talking about control. We're talking about control issues and boundaries or lack of, or not able to set boundaries, control boundaries. and confidence, yes, and self-esteem.
But it's also one of the easiest chakras for me to reactivate, whether it's blocked or whether it's just underactive or something. It always seems to want to respond really well.
I was just hearing in my head the song to Sesame Street where it says, "Sunny days, thinking it okay." So, you know, it's like that's the Solar Chakra. Everything's okay, right?
Yeah.
Be in the sunshine, right?
And it's yellow like the sunshine, right?
Yeah, everything's okay.
Also, it is the home of the inner child, you know, and in my work, I do like extractions and soul retrieval, and so this area is where I tend to do those aspects, and mostly related to inner child work is the solar plexus.
Also, I feel like the solar plexus is the 0 point, where you bring all of the energy from the top all the way from the root, and you bring it to the middle, to the center. I know that people think it's like the heart, which it does generate, but it generates the energy to go down in the middle. And from that place, when you can be in the middle, that's the 0 point. I mean, I've experienced natural DMT just by centering myself in that solar plexus. I have way too much confidence, I think.
No.
Aren't you a Leo too? Aren't you a Leo?
I'm a Leo.
You got an extra dose of the fire too.
Yeah, Jesse looked at me the other day and he's like, "Wow, you really love yourself."
You're supposed to.
But you know what? Sometimes the people who are uncomfortable, it can be something that is an indicator to you that you might have an alignment issue if when you see something functioning in someone else, you have a reaction to that. So by that I mean, if somebody looks at Maciel and says, "You know what, she is so full of herself. She just, look at her, she's just glowing. She thinks she's amazing."
I get that all the time.
Right, but I bet she's not. That's the person, that's your self-talk is giving you a sign that maybe you just don't know what it looks like to be glowing and vibrant and to be active in your solar,
absolutely,
your confidence and all of that. Rather than, you know, if we feel a negative response, and it can be the same thing if somebody is over-functioning somewhere, really, or if they're under-functioning. Like a lot of us will, you know, if a person is chronically depressed, we will find ourselves pulling away from that or looking down on them and saying, "Oh, why can't they just do such and such?" But that is, again, an opportunity for us to say, well, why am I even triggered about this? Could it be that I recognize the energy of depression and imbalance, and maybe I need to look at the log in my eye of the speck in her, you know?
Right. And I feel that a lot of the collective has a lot of that, you know, trigger, or a lot of the filters, people that don't really look at themselves as high, you know, as they truly are. They don't believe that they're magical. They don't believe they're amazing. It's hard for them to even say it out of their mouth, or to even, you know, feel that. They have like this belief that if they say they are, it's too much, and they're not being humble. And it's another belief system that infiltrates our consciousness and thus distorts our chakra system and distorts who we are. And that's the reason why our energy doesn't even flow through our body the way it's supposed to. And we have sickness arising, we have depression, anxiety, and the energy is just not flowing the right way, how it's supposed to, because of the program. The mind is just like the mind is like it's the pilot, and in general, it's been trained to take pilot when it's not supposed to. It's the heart supposed to take pilot, the mind's supposed to follow the heart, and this is when we can balance our energy and then work in the flow of the universe, how the universe wants us to flow. But we're in contradiction with that, with our belief system. And the collective consciousness it's limited. And this is why we're here for. We're here to bring awareness, bring truth to what's really happening within our bodies, because every person has a divine vortex that needs to be balanced in order for the world to heal. It's one world at a time, and every person is like a little world. And if that world is not functioning right and it's sending out these signals to the universe, then that's exactly what's producing on Earth. And I'm just excited to be part of the team and be here with my twin flame. And we're doing collective inner child frequency work, and that is our purpose. And we're just so excited because when we get to heal people from their energetic centers, and then people don't even know that they have pain. And as soon as I call it out and I say, you have pain in your stomach and you have constipation and cramps, and they're like, oh, my God, yes, I do. And I go, and it's from this part of your childhood, and they just start to cry, and they're like, oh, my God, I thought that I had forgotten about this memory. And
absolutely.
Yeah, it's crazy. And a lot of the New Age philosophies that came in, the New Age philosophy served its purpose, but because of so much distortion in it, like emphasizing things that took you away from your power, and everybody is equal and everybody is nice and all those things. Like, yes, we want to be nice to each other, no doubt, but if we sacrifice our own power, speaking about the solar plexus, if we sacrifice it, and Maciel is a perfect example of owning her power, then you are going to be feeling insecure. You're going to be feeling mad that somebody else has the audacity to be so powerful, and a lot of the philosophies that have ran through in the New Age, we'll say phase, have really tricked us and duped us into believing that we should not be as powerful as we really are.
And I don't feel like they're distorted philosophies. I think that more of how people take them. Mm-hmm. So at your level of consciousness and your level, whatever fear you have within your subconscious mind, you're going to use the philosophy or the information and kind of twist it around because you yourself are still not even healed. So you're taking it and running with it and not really doing the inner work. And so I think that experience gives you wisdom. Mm-hmm. Knowledge without experience is just information that you haven't really aspired to your being in order for you to tell a story. Tell me your story. And, the solar plexus is a place for, I think it would be like one of the places where we can begin to get our power back and then be able to express our unique truth, Yeah.
Absolutely.
I see the summary statement for the chakras. The solar plexus is what I can or I do, if you have to put a two-word kind of phrase to it. So if you look at the root, which is I am, the sacral is I feel. If you don't know who you are and you're not feeling really good, then you're not going to feel like you can do the things that you need to do in your life. So you see, to have one plays into the other, where you have to have that foundation before you can then create energy from that foundation and through that foundation to even have the thought of whether you can or cannot do something, So even the power of the word is so important with our energy. Again, the word, spoken word, is sound expressed. So to even wake up in the morning and when you see the sunlight, to say, good morning, sun, I can, whatever it is you need to do that day, whatever you need to be, just know that you can. You have called into reality. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You have called into your reality by what you said into your space, and then the energy will then vibrate in response to that. So even on the days when you don't feel like you can do something, I don't feel good today, I don't even think I can make it to work. Well, you can change the way that you phrase the reality of maybe you're not having such a great day and maybe you're not feeling so hot. But at all times you should be conscious to not say, I can't. I cannot. I cannot. Because it's just not true.
There's always a positive to everything.
And then
you just have to find it sometimes.
Definitely. I think a lot of it has to do, and as a matter of fact, today we did a video, and actually I posted something about how the different energetic pockets which contain pain, so the emotion, and you have a thought and emotion. So how do you have to, the reason why a lot of things don't get manifested into people's realities is because we're sending like these mixed signals from different chakras. So if your root chakra is fearful or not feeling secure and not feeling rooted, and then you don't really have that much stagnancy in your solar plexus and you feel very secure, but the root chakra is not feeling there. So you have this war going on in your body and you're sending all these mixed signals, and so the thought form can only do so much to manifest, and it sends out half results in and half results out, or just mixed reality. So I was posting about this because I was like thinking like the emotion has to be there, and this is why it's so necessary for us to heal the emotion behind the thought. So if the thought saying, I can do this, but there's a part of you that's saying, no, you can't. I remember because my mom told me this, say the root chakra or the solar plexus. And then, but you don't hear the emotion. You don't hear it. It's in your subconscious mind, and your mind's thinking, wait, something else is telling me that you don't believe this. And so it sends out these mixed signals, and then people get frustrated because they're like, why is this not working? And so we do have to be even to the inner trust frequency, which is the I can, but in frequency, not in thought form, or verbally saying I can, but saying in it, like feeling that emotion of trust and saying, you know what, I know that I'm not be able to manifest what I want right now, but I trust in the frequency of trust and know that this is part of the spiritual unfolding, the rebirth of myself.
Yes, well said.
Very well said. And, I was thinking about, you said the emotion. Emotions are a form of energy, okay? Yeah. And when they talk about, like we hear people talk about vision boards, it's not just enough to put your things on the vision where you can see them. You have to feel the feeling of what it's like to actually be in the energy of that thing. I do have another caller that I need to get on, and we're going to go ahead and give each of you a chance before we close here. I'm going to see who we've got on the line, but I'm going to give each of you a chance to talk about how people will be able to get in touch with you to find out more about your personal services. But first, caller 3980, I've got you live on the show. Thank you for calling and listening this evening. What would you like to say?
Hey, how's it going, everybody?
Hey,
hi, how are you?
Hello.
All right. Just listening into your conversation, well said by everybody. I think everybody made an excellent.
Hey, Prana. Is this Prana?
Hello.
Hi, I recognize your voice. It took me a minute. Thank you so much for listening in.
Oh, no.
It's a healing circle tonight. It's all the healers, I know.
Yeah, I just wanted to add into what you guys were saying. Like I was saying, very prevalent information, and everything was well said by everybody. So my hat's off to that. With that being said, I just wanted to add, as we were talking about the solar plex, like you had just said, the solar plex it harnesses emotions. It in itself, you know what I'm saying? The E is for energy, and then you have the word emotions. So it harnesses these emotions in which takes place, and I believe it was the young lady was speaking earlier. She said the inner child being past life things that people have been through, trauma and things that have taken place and affected the being within self. Before coming to this plane and while passing through the mother's womb and coming to this plane, as far as the spiritual aspect, and also on the physical aspect, it's... Hello?
What was that?
Maybe that was energy and motion, okay? Maybe... But what I'm saying as far as the physical aspect of it, it's just like anything, light, dark, yin, yang, spiritual and the physical. And the physical aspect of it also, we tend not to acknowledge that chemical compound comes into play as well. So a lot of spiritual blockage is offset by a lot of chemical blockage, as well as what do we put in our bodies to bring ourselves down and affect our emotions when it comes to thought, because now in these days they're using the food to affect us in our emotions and keep our energy levels down so we can't raise them up.
You're so right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we also have.
I do need to cut in because we're getting down to the wire on the time, and I want to give everyone a chance to go ahead and put their contact information and name out. But this is a great conversation. This is exactly what I had in mind with the Viberarian. And you'll notice as I spell the Viberarian, there is an extra E in that. And it resonates with the fact that we are adding energy, and I am adding specific energy as an individual and emotion to this project, and to the Viberarian and to the Viberarian, to helping people bring that E, that elevation that is going to help us continue to level up. So my name is Miss J, Joelle. You can email me at Joelle, Joelle, at the Viberarian, Viberarian. Email me your questions, or if you would like to be a guest on the show. And starting with Lucy, where can people contact you?
My email address is luclee01 at AOL.com. I know that shows my age because I still have an AOL email address. And you can also find me on Facebook.
Okay.
Lucy Lee.
And Paula.
All right.
Thank you, Lucy. Paula, where can people find you?
You can contact me at phone number 404-594-0062, and also Ariel Littlewolf, ARIELLITTLEWOLF at q.com, and that's the letter q.com.
Okay. And Jesse
and thank you so much for having us on the show and getting to talk and share. And I really enjoyed everybody jumping in, and this was a great experience tonight.
Yes. It's great to hear everybody's viewpoint on everything, Joelle. Thank you so much for this. And we'll have to have another show about the upper chakras.
I'm hoping you all can meet me back here next week, same time, same channel, and definitely will be reaching out to you.
Yeah.
Oh, good. And Jesse and Marcel, real quickly, how can people reach you?
You can reach us on Facebook, or I'll give you the email as well. You can reach me on Facebook. My Facebook name is Jesse Ra. It's spelled Jesse, and then space and RA. And then my email is reikijourney11@gmail.com, spelled REIKI journey, JOURNEY, the number 11 @gmail.com. So I appreciate you letting us plug ourselves, Joelle. Thank you very much. You guys are all awesome. It's beautiful.
Glad that y'all joined us, Jesse. Really enjoyed you guys coming in and sharing.
It was a party. This was great. I thank each of you, and I wanted to let you know that the show is available from the Blog Talk Radio interface to rebroadcast afterwards. So please share the links with your friends because it's certainly relevant no matter whether they're live or not. And I also have a YouTube channel, The Viberary, Viberary. And you can stop by there because I'm uploading episodes, not just from this show, but I'm also linking out to other channels of people like Jesse Maciel, other astrologers, astronomers, healers, teachers. I'm going to be creating a personal energetic library or library for you all to experience. So our shows will be up there, and please like, share, comment, and subscribe. So this has been Miss J, the Viberarian, and you've been listening to my online broadcast. Thank you so much for joining me, and I hope that you will be well, be blessed, and be in good energy, and I will see you next week. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you. Good night.